Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan ki jai, Jai Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan ki jai, Jai Shri Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī ki jai. Transcendental Appearance Day of Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan ki jai. The Transcendental Disappearance Day of Hiranyakashipu ki jai. So, now we're resuming how we already recounted about the history leading up to Hiranyakashipu taking Prahlad on his lap and asking him what is the best thing that you've learned since you've been going to school. What do you think is the best? Just like when you ask a small boy that he's going to school, what did you like the best? So Hiranyakashipu was asking Prahlad this question. Oh. So before we start to get into it, we'll sing a little bit. Namaste Nṛsiṃhaya, Namaste Nṛsiṃhaya, Namaste Nṛsiṃhaya, Namaste Nṛsiṃhaya. Prahlada dayene, Prahlada dayene, Hiranyakashipur bhakshaha, Hiranyakashipur bhakshaha, Shilatankanakalaye, Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Nṛsiṃho parato Nṛsiṃho, Ito Nṛsiṃho parato Nṛsiṃho, Yato yami tato Nṛsiṃho, Yato yami tato Nṛsiṃho. Bahir Nṛsiṃho hridayi Nṛsiṃho, Bahir Nṛsiṃho hridayi Nṛsiṃho, Nṛsiṃha-madhyam sharanam prapadye, Nṛsiṃha-madhyam sharanam prapadye. Tavakara kamala bare nakam adbhuta shringam, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam, Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Hara Kamala Bare Nakam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakam Keshavadrita Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev, Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev, Nṛsiṃha-dev, Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev. Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev, Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev, Nṛsiṃha-dev, Jaya Nṛsiṃha-dev. Jaya Narahari, Jaya Narahari, Narahari, Jaya Narahari. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha. Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha, Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan ki Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun dinataranam. Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Prem Ananda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Nama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I offer my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipful, beloved Diksha and Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Astatarajata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Astatarajata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my unlimited Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And then I offer my Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and all of the Vaishnavis on this most auspicious Sri Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī, the Transcendental Appearance Day of Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev. So we are continuing in our study and appreciation of Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein all of these transcendental subject matters have been discussed by Srila Shukadev Goswami, and actually Sri Narada Muni also has told this entire pastime in history. But first I want to recap and look at the various chapters and the chapter titles. Now the first, the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 chapters. The first 10 chapters, 1 through 10, which are describing this transcendental pastime of the appearance of Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev for the protection of Sri Prahlad Maharaj. And one important thing to note is that our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself heard what is called Prahlad Charitra from Sri Gadadhar Pandit in Jagannath Puri at the Totat Gopinath temple many, many times. And they would be weeping in transcendental ecstasy. Also, our Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he also narrated Prahlad Charitra many, many times. So, and our beloved Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he also narrated this pastime of Prahlad Maharaj even before his 7th canto was printed, long before. And why is this pastime so prominent? There's quite a number of reasons, but especially in particular, it's very essential for all devotees to hear the transcendental description of Sri Prahlad Maharaj, of his qualities, of his transcendental moods, and especially of his moods in glorifying Sri Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev. Because, why? Why should devotees hear this? Because Prahlad Maharaj is an example for all of what is a pure devotee. What is a pure devotee who has no material desires whatsoever? By hearing about Prahlad Maharaj and the entire pastime, then we get some understanding of what it means to actually surrender to the Lord, to be completely dependent upon the Lord, not upon your own so-called abilities, power, etc. No. So Prahlad Maharaj is in this category, although there are different levels of devotees. Obviously, there are many different levels of devotees. But without coming to this level, like Prahlad Maharaj is demonstrating, no one can enter into the higher levels of Krishna Bhakti. Not possible. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself showed the example. And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. But he is Krishna now coming in a form of a devotee. And which devotee Which moods was Krishna coming in the form of? Well, in the highest sense, he's coming in the form of Srimati Radharani. This was his desire. Krishna wanted to experience this unlimited, infinite, ever-expanding quality of Srimati Radhika's prema. That is described by Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. In the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the verse that he composed, that is given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, to understand the reasons for Krishna's descent in this world. And what is that? Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vana Yaiva Swadyo Yen Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Va Mandiya Sokyam Chasyam Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tadbhavadya Samajani Sachigarbha Sindho Harindu. So, to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna himself, coming in the form of a exalted Mahabhagavad Vaishnava, Krishna is coming to teach us. But he's also coming to taste the moods, to experience the moods of Srimati Radhika's unlimited Mahabhav prema for him. So, that topic is discussed in the beginning of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we see by studying the life and the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he wanted to continually be absorbed in hearing, chanting, remembering, and all the limbs of bhakti, with pure devotion, not anything mixed devotion. And so these 10 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, describing all these moods, they are recounted. They are recounted by Sri Narada Muni to Maharaj Yudhishthir, and later on by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. So I'm just summarizing just a little bit of the first 5 chapters, because the 5th chapter is the chapter in which the description is there of Prahlad Maharaj that we told today, how Prahlad Maharaj came and sat on the lap of his father, Hiranyakashipu. But prior to that, in the first chapter, which is titled "The Supreme Lord is Equal to Everyone," there is quite an in-depth discussion there, philosophical discussion, based upon the question of Maharaj Yudhishthir. And he wanted to understand how sometimes it appears that the Supreme Lord is partial. For example, he's partial to his devotees, and even to the demigods. He's partial to them, not to the demons. So it appears that the quality of being impartial in the Lord has been given, that the Lord is not impartial. But impartiality, it is an absolute eternal principle, an eternal quality that the Lord possesses. Why? Because Krishna is everything. The Supreme Absolute Truth is one Supreme Truth. And everything that exists has emanated from Him. So He is the origin of everything. All energy belongs to Him. He is the possessor of everything. And therefore, in one sense, everything is Himself. Everything is Himself. But to understand properly the principle of the Absolute Truth, we have to understand two principles: oneness and difference, Bade and Abade. So what is oneness? Oneness means that He is non-different. Everything is Himself. Can we deny that fact? No, we cannot deny that all energy that is existing in this material world, all living entities, and all transcendental energy in the spiritual world, it has emanated from Him. It is His eternal manifestation of His divine energies. He has infinite numbers of energies, of Shaktis, of potencies, but three are prominent, as pointed out in the Vedic Shastras and by the great Vaishnavacharyas. Three of His energies are prominent. What are they? His internal potency, His Chit Shakti, of which the entire spiritual world is comprised of that energy, Chit Shakti. Then the second potency is His Maya Shakti, which means His external energy, His Bahiranga Shakti, external energy. So that external energy is unconscious. It is not full of consciousness. It is unconscious, dull matter, comprised of 8 different types. What is that? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, ahankar. None of those energies are conscious. Just like we see that in this world, we can see that earth or water, they are not conscious entities. Fire, they are not conscious. Air, no consciousness. But in the spiritual realm, all the energies which are similar, there is earth, water, fire, air in the spiritual world, but all is conscious energy. All is completely transcendental spiritual consciousness. So to understand that is not very easy for the conditioned souls in this world to understand how there is a realm in which everything is conscious. But that realm is certainly existing because we are conscious. So the third energy is the energy that is existing that can be situated in one of these two realms, the internal potency or the external potency. That energy, that Shakti potency is called Tatastha Shakti or Jiva Shakti, the living entities. And the living entities are infinite, and the living entities are uncountable, innumerable living entities. But the living entities are actually parts and parcels of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Living Entity, Bhagavan, of whom there is only one. No one is equal to Him. No one is superior to Him. Everything is subordinate to Him. And therefore one of His names is Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means that everything is below Him. By His very position, He makes everything in a category downward from Him. Adha. Adha means downwards. So Adhokshaja means that Supreme Truth in comparison with him, everything is underneath him, subordinate to him, everything is below him. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, he, in discussion of the three different realms of existence, he explained that the material world is called the Prakrita realm. Prakrita means material. Prakrita is temporary. This material energy is all temporary. We are under the illusion that it is permanently existing, but no. The material energy is sometimes manifested and sometimes it is unmanifested. The energy itself is always existing within the Absolute Truth. It is existing there eternally within him. But sometimes he exhibits that energy outwardly. So, the exhibition of his energy and the realms of existence are divided into three. The first realm is called Prakrita. Prakrita means what we see in this worldly existence that we are now inhabiting. We see species of life, we see human beings, we see planets and whole existence of universal existence. And we see that the human beings, they have a certain type of existence in which they live in family life. There are so many varieties of cultures in the world, but all are based upon what? Materialistic enjoyment of family life. Mother, father, children, grandchildren, great-grandparents, friendships, different friends, living in a human society, and ultimately everyone wants to attain some kind of loving, affectionate exchange with someone else in this world. So this is all very visible to us in this world, that this is how the human society lives, in this way. They reproduce, and human society goes on for millions, billions, and trillions of years. But this realm is the lowest existence because it is Prakrita. It is material. Now what is the realm next up from this? That realm is beyond the material world. It is called the Adhokshaja realm. Why? Because the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, in the form of Lord Narayan, he is existing there, and he has expanded unlimited spiritual planets called Vaikuntha Lokas. Spiritual planets there, Vaikuntha Lokas. And there he is existing on each planet, along with his eternal consort, his Shakti potency, in the form of Lakshmi Devi, is existing there. And he is also existing surrounded by supreme opulence, like a king. And in that realm, all the living entities that are existing there, they also have a similar form to him. As he has 4 arms, so similarly the residents of Vaikuntha also have 4 arms. Chaturbhuj. Now that realm is the realm in which the Absolute Truth is existing amongst all of his subordinate servants in Dasyaras. They all have transcendental love for him. It is called Vaikuntha Prem. They have Vaikuntha Prem. And they have transcendental love for him. But the exchange of intimacy has a limit. How intimate they can exchange with him there. And that comprises only 2.5 rasas. 2.5 rasas are there. What are they? Shantaras, neutrality. Dasyaras, servitude. And a mixture of some servitude and friendship is there to some degree. That is why it is said that in Vaikuntha Loka, the Supreme Lord exhibits 2.5 rasas. No one there can become intimately friendly with him. There is always a mood of awe and reverence. That mood of awe and reverence, it is always felt by the residents of Vaikuntha. Because why? Because they know who their Lord and Master is. They know. They're completely aware that He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Bhagavan. He is the greatest Supreme Entity. From Him everything emanates. They know this. It's called Aishwarya Gyan. So their mood towards the Lord is always based upon His position of being the supreme ruler and controller of everything. It is based upon opulence, Aishwarya. Aishwarya. Aishwarya also comes from the word Ishvara. Ishvara means He is the controller of everything. So in Vaikuntha, all of the jivas that exist in Vaikuntha, they are eternal devotees of the Lord there. They never waver at all in their moods of loving service to Him, but filled with Aishwarya. So that entire realm, that spiritual realm, far beyond this material world, that is called the Adhokshaja realm. Adhokshaja realm. Again, below that is the Prakrita realm, where the living entities are experiencing the mundane rasas in this world. And they are thinking that this is the highest purpose of their existence, is to taste the sensual gratification, exchanging mundane moods of friendship and parental affection and all of this. Conjugal love, male and female, that is going on in the Prakrita realm. In the Adhokshaja realm, it is all completely far, far beyond anything that somebody tastes in this material world. Because they are directly exchanging with the Supreme Lord, but they are exchanging with Him in opulence, Aishwarya. So what is the what is the third realm? What is that third realm known as? That third realm is called Aprakrita realm. Aprakrita. It's very important for devotees to understand this. Prakrita, we've described. It means the material realm. But Aprakrita, it means that it resembles the material realm. It looks like the material realm. But it is completely transcendental. And there, all 5 rasas are expressed between the Absolute Supreme Lord, who is Krishna Himself, who is the source of all incarnations and expansions. He lives there in that realm, which is called Goloka Vrindavan. In a beautiful realm, simple village life, in beautiful forest area called Vrindavan. Simple realm. But there, the rasa, it goes to the highest point. everything there is completely overwhelmed with the transcendental exchanges of prem, braja prem. And every living entity there has their own eternal relationship with that supreme entity, Krishna. So in that realm, it appears to be similar to this material realm. But in actuality, it's the origin of this realm. In other words, this material realm is a perverted reflection of that eternal spiritual realm, which is the highest. Therefore, we see that in this material realm, we also see the perverted rasas. The perverted rasas are here in this material realm. And what do they lead to? The so-called love and affection of the material realm, it leads to ultimately nothing but suffering. Nothing but suffering. But in the transcendental realm, all of those relationships, they lead to what? The highest exalted transcendental ananda and bliss in exchange with the supreme entity, and that is the reality. This is not the reality here. No jiva can stay here. Every jiva that's here has to leave. And until the jivas have undergone this wandering throughout this universe and millions of other universes since time immemorial, when they finally begin to wake up and they finally want to understand, why am I suffering? Then Krishna becomes very merciful to those fortunate jivas who now want to understand the truth of the reality, not the perverted reflection of the reality. And then Krishna arranges for those jivas to meet Guru and Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. Now they get the seed of the bhakti, the vine, the creeper of devotion. And Mahaprabhu described this to Rupa Goswami. Yes, in his teachings to Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu explained this bhakti lata, like a vine, growing. Because a vine, it doesn't stop growing. It always continues to grow. So Mahaprabhu used the example that this development of transcendental emotions and transcendental love within the heart of the jiva, this development of bhakti, it begins from the bhakti lata bij, from the seed of this creeper, the seed of this vine of transcendental loving devotion. So the jivas that receive this, they are not ordinary jivas. Because the majority of the jivas in the material world, they continue wandering. Life after life, millions and millions of lifetimes, millions of species of life. But for the fortunate jivas who have performed pious activities in the course of their wandering, now Krishna, who is within the heart of every jiva, he notices, oh, this jiva is now ready. This jiva is now ready, so I shall bring that jiva into contact with my pure devotee. And then that jiva, through the mercy of my pure devotee, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, through my mercy and through his mercy, then he will get the Bhakti Lata Bij. You see. And then he can begin to go towards the spiritual world where the supreme reality and the supreme relationship with that supreme absolute truth is going on eternally there. in the spiritual realm. So, that realm is called aprakrita. It is the opposite of this prakrita realm. But it resembles. We can get some idea what it is like there by the perverted reflection of this world. And we can understand that all transcendental loving exchanges and relationships are there, just like we are searching for that life after life in this world. Relationships. No jivas want to be alone. All jivas, they want to have relationships with other jivas. But in actuality, the jivas in this world are in illusion that this is true, that this is permanent, that this is real. But the jivas in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, are living in that reality. And one very important thing to understand is that all those jivas in Goloka Vrindavan, they do not know that Krishna, that He's God, that He's the creator of everything, He's the source of everything. They don't know that. Why? Because if they know that, then these sweet, sweet madhurya exchanges between the jiva and the Supreme Absolute Lord, they cannot take place if they know that, oh yes, Krishna is actually the source of everything. How can it possibly happen that Krishna can have a mother there? That Krishna can have a mother or a father? How is that possible? Krishna has no origin. He is the origin of everything. So, in Krishna's pastimes, which are explained in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, so Krishna, even as a little child, even like in a tiny, tiny little child, Krishna exhibits to Mother Yashoda what? Krishna exhibits inside of his mouth. She looks inside of Krishna's mouth here in Vrindavan at Brahmanda Ghat. That's why it's called Brahmanda Ghat. Because Mother Yashoda, all the children, Krishna and his friends, they were all playing as little children play in the dirt. And then one of the children, they said, "Oh, Maya, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's eating dirt." Just like little children will do in this world. And they'll tell on him. They'll complain, "He's eating dirt." So then Mother Yashoda comes, and Mother Yashoda said, "Is that true, Krishna? What your friends are saying? That you've eaten dirt?" And Krishna says, "No, it's not true. I have not eaten any dirt." Then Mother Yashoda says, "Okay, you come sit here on my lap, and I will look inside your mouth to see if you ate any dirt." So she looked inside of Krishna's mouth. His mouth very tiny at that time. He could not open so big. Small little mouth. And she looked inside. But what did she see? She saw all the planetary systems in the universe. She saw mountains, oceans, rivers. She saw all the demigods. She saw all of the living entities. She saw all of the exhibitions of universal affairs inside of Krishna's mouth. And then she saw herself. She saw herself looking inside of Krishna's mouth, inside of Krishna's mouth. Do you understand? She saw herself looking in Krishna's mouth, inside of his mouth. She became completely astonished. And she, what is going on? What am I seeing here? Right? And then what happened? Did Mother Yashoda start having doubts? Did she start thinking, oh, Krishna is actually God? Did she start thinking that? That Krishna is the supreme source of everything? No. What did she start to think? Oh, some kind of witchcraft, some kind of black magic. Oh, I will call the Brahmanas, they should come. They should bring a black calf. And then they should perform the rituals to protect Krishna. They should take the tail of the black calf and dip it in his urine and then anoint the different 12 parts of Krishna's body to protect him. This is Mother Yashoda. It is not possible for any Brijbasi to believe that Krishna is the supreme absolute Godhead. No matter how they see Krishna exhibiting incredible superhuman activities, they never think that Krishna is the absolute truth, that he's the source of all power. No, they only think according to their own relationship with him. I'll give you the example when Krishna protected all the Brijbasis from the thunderbolts and the rain sent by Indra, by lifting Govardhan mountain. Govardhan is a mountain. And Krishna told the Brijbasis, oh, you now come underneath this mountain, I will hold the mountain up. Now you all come with all of the cows, everything. So when Krishna lifted the mountain up, was it like an ordinary, like if you have a pile of dirt and you lift up half of that, what's underneath? Just dirt. No. When Krishna lifted up Govardhan and brought all the Brijbasis underneath, what was there? Oh, very beautiful, lush fields of grass, streams, nectar of water, streams flowing there. Beautiful, comfortable sitting places for all the Brijbasis. And for 7 days and 7 nights, Krishna stood there in front of all of them. And with the little finger, his pinky finger of his left hand, he lifted the mountain and held it up for 7 days and 7 nights. Now during that time, what was going on? A festival was going on. All the Brijbasis were overwhelmed with ecstasy, watching Krishna's beautiful form. They could not drink enough. They could not become satisfied and satiated by the nectar that they were drinking through their eyes of Krishna's beautiful form, who is the source of infinite, infinite beauty. Yes. They could not become satisfied. And did they ever stop to think, what are we seeing here? Krishna is lifting this mountain. What is going on? He must be the all-powerful, supreme, absolute truth. But then none of them ever discussed like that. You know what they discussed? Mother Yashoda told, because she was in very great anxiety that Krishna was not being properly fed, even though she was feeding him sweets and everything continually. And Krishna was holding up. So, and you know the cowherd men, they were taking their cowherd sticks and they were also thinking that they're helping Krishna to hold up the hill. Right? And then Mother Yashoda, she became full of so much anxiety that Krishna is becoming tired. So she told to Krishna, Krishna, that's enough now. Now you should rest. You give Sridham. Sridham will hold up the hill for some time now. So you can rest. And then Krishna said, Maya, I am not tired at all. I am having so much fun. This is so much fun. And Krishna gave the opportunity for all the Brijbasis, and especially for the gopis, who also always have to approach Krishna in a hidden way, in a secret way, not openly. But now, because of this situation that was arranged by Krishna, by his worship of Govardhan and completely disregarding Indra, so this was all arranged by Krishna. Now the gopis could be right next to him, looking at him and exchanging glances with him and everything, right in the presence of all the Brijbasis. You see. So, in this way, Krishna in Braj, he is only known as Yashodanandan. He's the son of Mother Yashoda. Nandanandan. He's the son of Maharaj Nanda. He's a prince. He plays. That's all that he does, is he plays all the time in the forest of Braj, Vrindavan. He herds the cows from his early childhood. He starts herding the calves, and then later he herds the cows. And he has so much fun with his friends, playing and playing and playing. And then secretly, every single day, he meets with the Braja Gopis at Radha Kund and many, many other places throughout Braj Mandala. And does that stop at night? No. He goes back to his home and has a beautiful feast and then goes to sleep. But then he wakes up and all the gopis wake up, and then all the arrangements are made for Krishna to escape from his house while all the family members are sleeping, and he goes every single night into the dark forests of Vrindavan in the full moonlight, and he dances Ras Leela, and he meets with the gopis, and no one can ever know about this. Why? Because Yoga Maya does not allow it. And therefore, Yoga Maya also never allows the Brijbasis to know that Krishna is God. No, they can never know this. They only know Krishna in their sweet personal relationship with him. So why am I telling about this on Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī? Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī is one of the expansions of Krishna. Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, he came and exhibited this very unique form that he never exhibited before. And he exhibited supreme anger. You see, so angry. But why did this happen? That he appeared in this form of half man, half lion, like this? What brought this about? Well, do you know what the origin of everything that exists, everything that happens in the material world, in the spiritual world? What is the origin? What is the actual starting point for everything? Well, it has only one answer. That Krishna is made of rasa. Rasovai saha. He is rasa. Krishna is made of ecstasy, ecstatic love called rasa. And his devotees exchange with him through these rasas, prem ras, and they taste all the essential nectar of prem, loving exchanges with Krishna. So, Krishna doesn't only taste these 5 principal rasas, but there are also 7 secondary rasas identified by Rupa Goswami. If you read his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the whole science of rasa is given. So, what are the 7 secondary rasas? The 7 secondary rasas are hasya ras, comedy, laughter, joking, like this. Vira rasa. Vira rasa, we see the perverted reflection in the material world of all these rasas, is a perverted reflection. But vira means what? Heroism. To exhibit heroism. To exhibit power. To fight with an adversary and overcome that adversary, exhibiting your power. This is a rasa, tasting a rasa, you know. Why in the material world do they have so many sports in which different adversaries are competing with one another to completely pulverize them, to pulverize each other? Wrestling, martial arts, boxing, all of these kinds of exchanges of heroism. And it's relished by human society. Of course, it's a perverted reflection. I have to keep on saying that. But in the spiritual world, how is that exhibited? Well, in Goloka Vrindavan, it's exhibited by Krishna's wrestling with the cowherd boys. Yes. They're always wrestling and they're always competing with one another. They're tasting this sweet rasa within the realm of friendship. But Krishna, he does not involve himself with killing demons. Did you know that? That Krishna does not engage himself in killing demons. But what are you saying? We see so many examples of Krishna killing demons in Braj. He's killing Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasura, the snake demon Agasur, Bakasur. So many different asuras in the shape of bulls, in the shape of horses, in the shape of donkeys. These are asuras. And Krishna kills them. Baladev kills them. But do you know that in actuality, it's not the Krishna who is the son of Mother Yashoda that is killing those demons? Did you know that? No. When this occurs, it is not that Krishna who is killing those demons, it is the Vasudeva Krishna that is within him, and he kills the demons. That is why it is essential that in Krishna's Leela, the pastime of him appearing in the prison of Kamsa with this demon Kamsa and his parents Vasudeva and Devaki, and they're suffering and they're oppressed by this demon Kamsa, and eventually Krishna kills Kamsa. But all during his childhood, Kamsa is trying to kill Krishna all the time, even before he's born. He's very frightened. Why? Because there was a voice from the sky during the marriage ceremony of Vasudeva and Devaki. And Kamsa was the brother of Devaki, driving the chariot. And suddenly a voice from the sky said, "Oh Kamsa! You fool Kamsa! You are driving the chariot of your sister, but you don't know that the 8th child of your sister will kill you, you fool Kamsa." Kamsa immediately put the reins down of the horses, turned around, grabbed the braid of his sister, pulled out his sword, and he was ready to slice off her head. This is called a demon, an asura. who doesn't think about anything except how he will protect himself. And then Vasudeva had to calm him down. And Vasudeva had to reason with him. And Vasudeva had to convince him, don't worry. As each one of the children are born, I will bring them to you. Like this. So there's whole pastime is there. Why is that pastime exhibited? Why didn't Krishna just descend from the womb of Mother Yashoda, as is actually happened? Why didn't he just descend and enjoy his pastimes in Braj? Why? Because Krishna had many things to accomplish. If you read this very nice book that is taken, it is compiled from our Gurudev's lectures in California, where he was explaining the hidden truths of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the beginning of that, he began to explain what were the reasons for Krishna coming into this world. What were all the different reasons? He gave so many reasons, you see. But just as Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, that I come, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. When adharma is rising up and dharma is going down, at that time I come, whenever this is taking place. Then in the next verse he says, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. In order to save my sadhus, my devotees, my pure devotees, to deliver them, paritran, to deliver them, and to kill the demons, vinashaya cha duskritam. For these two purposes, I come, dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Yuga after yuga after yuga, I descend into this world to accomplish these two and to establish dharma. So the whole Mahabharata, it is exhibited by Vyasadeva to show what was happening on our planet 5,000 years ago in terms of the system of the kings and the rulers of all different areas of the planet. And what was taking place at that time was that the world was becoming overburdened with demoniac military forces. They had to be reduced. So therefore, in the beginning of Bhagavatam, Krishna, Lord Brahma, is approached by Bhumi Devi in the form of a cow, and she has tears in her eyes, and she's telling, I cannot tolerate this great burden of sinful, demonic personalities who are living on the surface of my body. So then Brahma went to the ocean of milk, and he had a transcendental exchange with Caturdaśī Vishnu. Transmission. Then he announced to all the demigods, don't worry, the Lord has told he will descend, and all of you should also take human forms and descend before he descends in his pastimes. So this is the background of the whole 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, of the appearance of the Lord. But the real purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is that Krishna wants to taste unlimited rasa. And therefore he manifests his Vraj Leela pastimes not only in the transcendental Goloka Vrindavan, the Nitya Dham, but also within all the material universes. And through the manifestation of his pastimes, which then become recounted and recorded, the living entities, by hearing, they will become attracted to Krishna, and through that attraction, they will begin to perform bhakti in the association of the devotees. So, therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam contains not only Krishna's pastimes, but before you hear Krishna's pastimes, you hear Krishna's avatars, Krishna's incarnations of his of the pastimes that are performed by his expansions. So we see here in our temple, as you circumambulate the altar, you go all the way around and you see the depiction of the Das avatars, the 10 incarnations. These are avatars of Vishnu. They have come to this world to perform these tasks. So, coming to the point of how did it happen that Lord Nṛsiṃha appeared in this world? Well, you have to understand the history. And the history is that in Vaikuntha, there were 4 young children, age of 5 years old. They're called the 4 Kumaras. Who are the 4 Kumaras? Who's their father? Yeah. Brahmaji is the father of the 4 Kumaras. And the 4 Kumaras, from the beginning of their manifestation, they understood that we don't want to become entangled in this material world. We don't want to become entangled in mundane exchange of material sense gratification pleasures, which ultimately lead to nothing but suffering. So therefore, we will remain in the form of young boys, 5 years old. Because 5-year-old children, they don't feel any sexual attraction or anything like that, you see. So therefore, these great sages who have unlimited knowledge, they are universal sages from the beginning of the origin of the universe. And they appear as 5-year-old young children. So there's a pastime. But what preceded that pastime? I will tell you. One day, the 2 gatekeepers of the palace of Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, they were examining their lordship, because the servant is always very diligent and is always vigilant to see how their master has some desire, that we should fulfill that desire of our master. This is the life and soul of the servants of the Lord. So, but one day they noticed in the moods of their master, Lord Narayan, that Lord Narayan actually has this desire to engage in combat, heroism. He wants to taste this rasa of fighting and conquering. And they were talking between themselves, these 2 gatekeepers named Jai and Vijay. They were talking that we see our master, he wants to fight. But we can fight with him. We are like him. We have so much power. But the problem is, it will not be a real fight. It will be a mock battle. It will appear like a battle, but in actuality it's not. Why? Because to fight, to truly have a very heavy battle, there has to be hatred. There has to be vengeance. I want to conquer my enemy and destroy him. You see, that is behind every single political move in the entire history of our universe. Is one entity wants to battle against another to take their control of property, of land, of whatever. And they want to show their power and exhibit their power. So, they noticed that he has this desire, but we cannot really fulfill his desire. Because even if we did fight with him, and have a very big battle, it would only be a show. It would only be outwardly that we're showing like that, but not really a fight. To have a fight with him, to satisfy him, we will have to become completely adverse against him. So as they were feeling that mood in their hearts, what happened? Suddenly, approaching the gate which they were guarding, then these 4 young children came there. These 4 Kumaras, Sanat, Sanandan, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar. So these 4 Kumaras came there, and these gatekeepers, they thought, oh, who are you? Like young children coming. This is not the place for you. You should not be coming here. But what happened then? Another amazing thing. The 4 Kumaras, they became upset and angry that they were being disrespected and not allowed to go into the palace by these 2 guards. And he said, you 2 individuals, you do not deserve to be here in this Vaikuntha realm. We curse you, that you will go to the material world, and there you will take birth as demons. But don't worry, because the Lord will come and kill you. And He'll liberate you, then you can again return to Vaikuntha. And as that was going on, the Supreme Lord Narayan immediately came there and understood what was happening. How did this happen? Why? Because the Lord desires to taste rasa. That is never ever. Everything that occurs, even the creation of the material universe, everything, it is based upon the Lord's desire to taste rasa. What rasa is the Lord tasting when He creates universes? Does Krishna Himself do that? No. Krishna expands Himself into Vishnu forms. And they expand and they expand. And the whole material creation goes on through these expansions. But these expansions are also the Lord. He is tasting rasa through His expansions. And what rasa is He tasting? The desire of Srishti ras, that He wants to create. You see, He wants to bring about creation like this. So, everything originates from the Lord's desire. But who knows what the Lord desires? This is a quiz I'll put to you all. Who knows what the Lord desires at all times? Who can perceive 100% exactly the internal moods and the internal desires of the Supreme Lord? Huh? No. Krishna's Maya Shakti. Krishna's Maya Shakti potency is His own expansion of His energies. But there are 2 types of Maya. Mahamaya, of this material realm, and Yoga Maya. Everything that happens in the spiritual world, whether it's Vaikuntha, or Goloka, or Mathura, or Dwarka, in the spiritual world, everything that happens there is happening by the agency of Yogamaya. Krishna's pastimes are going on every day for eternity. His 24-hour cycle of Leelas. How are these Leelas taking place? Because in the background, Yogamaya is there. In Goloka Vrindavan, Yogamaya takes the form of a very, very exalted Maha Yogini. What is her name? Huh? Katya. No. Huh? No. Yes, her name is Purnamasi. She, you can see on the in front of the altar of our Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Mat, that she is there on one side, dressed in saffron cloth, Mahayogini. And on the other side is Gopishwar Mahadev in the form of a gopi. Okay? So, this personality, Yogamaya, is the personification of Krishna's internal potency, his Shakti. In actuality, she is an expansion of Srimati Radharani, but Srimati Radharani does not directly engage in that. Just like Krishna does not directly kill demons. They do it through agencies, expansions. So, this would normally not happen, that these two gatekeepers would obstruct. But Yogamaya made it happen in their hearts. The Yogamaya made them think like that. But who are these young boys? They cannot come in. And ordinarily, these four Kumaras would not become overly angered and upset and curse. But this is happening because of Yogamaya. Can you see the connection here? Yogamaya is enabling the desire of the Lord to become fulfilled. And she does that eternally, always, always, always. Yogamaya is the background. Now, in the material world, that same potency expands as who? Mahamaya. Takes the form of Durga Devi, takes the form of Parvati and Lord Shiva. They procreate, the material worlds come. Why? Because of the glance of Lord Narayan, not even his glance, is of his desire to create. But it is called the dim twilight reflection of his glance, which means that glance becomes Shambhu. Shambhu, Lord Shiva. And he becomes the agent for the development and the beginning of the creation of the material world. So all these personalities are there. There are universal and intercreational governmental systems everywhere. But everywhere there is a hierarchy. And everywhere there is one supreme entity who is ruling. That is why the very abnormal and inadequate system of governance which has taken place in the Kali Yuga, called democratic government, where there's voting of different individuals, they've created this. Why? Because there's not sufficiently qualified monarchs. The monarch system is the system everywhere. And who is the supreme monarch? The Lord himself is the supreme monarch. But in the material world, the demigods manifest. They are the monarchical system of governance of the universe. And then on each planet, there is a supreme governing personality on each planet. And then in the human society, there is a manifestation of government systems and different rulers of those government systems. And it's all monarchical from the beginning of time. But in Kali Yuga, because everything has become so deranged and so abnormal, and the demoniac nature has infested the human society, so no matter who you try to put there as the political head, the prime minister or whatever, they're all greatly flawed entities. And therefore, they cannot rule for their whole life. They're only given a short time to rule. Then they have to vote again, and then replace that person, and so forth. So, Srila Prabhupada used to say that this system called democracy, what is it actually? It is called demon crazy. He took a modification of the word democracy and turned it into demon crazy. You see? Because it is a crazy system where you have now we see that everyone is bought out and purchased by demoniac entities who are the elites, who are multi-billionaire, multi-trillionaires, and they actually make all the decisions and they run the government behind the scenes. And they just have some figurehead there called the president or this or that, but actually they're controlling everything, and they're controlling every single system of economic, banking and so forth. And they control that. And they control many other systems. So, it is a very abnormal and inadequate system of governance. But in the Kali Yuga, as Kali Yuga progresses, then the living entities become less and less qualified. Except for who? Except for the pure devotees of the Lord. They are transcendental. They are fully qualified and fully realized personalities. So, anyway, this is what happened. And that is why Jai Vijay had to come to the material world and take 3 births. Now in the first birth, this is mentioned in the first chapter of the 7th canto. In that first chapter it's mentioned how they had to take 3 births. In the first birth they became who? Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, brothers. In the second birth they appeared as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. In the third birth they appeared as Shishupal and his brother Dantavakra. And they were killed in each successive birth by expansion of the Lord, or directly by Vasudeva Krishna himself. In the case of Shishupal, in front of everyone, he sliced off his head with his Sudarshan chakra, because he was 100 times insulting. But he was born to insult. And Dantavakra was the same. So they had to be eliminated. But these personalities were seen by everyone present, that when Krishna sliced off the head of Shishupal, his Atma came and merged into the body of Krishna, in the presence of all. So in the beginning of the 7th canto, Yudhishthira Maharaj is questioning about this, And then the story unfolds that actually they were the gatekeepers in Vaikuntha, and they descended to give the Lord an opportunity to taste Vira Ras with really inimical. And they hated the Supreme Lord. They hated him. So that's the story that is the background, and that's why Hiranyakashipu had this strong urge, because his brother was killed by Vishnu in the form of who? Lord Varahadev, who we have here on our altar. Lord Varahadev took the form of a boar when the earth planet had fallen into the Garbhodak ocean, and he searched for it and took the form of a boar. Why? Why the form of a boar? I was with Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj. I was with him in Malaysia once when we were celebrating I forget what date it was, what day it was that we were celebrating, but I was with him at that time, and he was telling the story of the Lord taking the form of a boar. Then he said why he took the form of a boar. And the reason why is because the boar has a very powerful sense of smell. The boar has. So therefore, he took the form of a boar. Just like, why did he take the form of a fish, Matsya? Because a fish can swim everywhere, no problem. To save the Vedas from the dissolution of the universe, took the form of a fish. Why did he take the form of a tortoise? Because the tortoise's back, his shell, is very, very hard. And the Mandara mountain, which the demons and the demigods were churning, it needed to have an access. Otherwise it would just go down into the earth. So therefore the Lord came as Kurmadev. You see, there's a purpose. Why did he come as half man, half lion? That we will hear. Half man and half lion. That form was never seen before. Lakshmi Devi even. After Lord Nṛsiṃha killed Hiranyakashipu, and then he slaughtered and killed all of his army who also attacked him, now he could not be calmed down. He was roaring and roaring, and he was so angry. And then Lord Brahma came with the demigods in front of the Lord, some distance away though. They were afraid to approach him. And they were afraid because the Lord was so angry. So when they were together, the demigods were saying, no, we cannot go. He's so angry, he might completely destroy us when we approach him. So then they thought, okay, Lakshmi, you should go and approach your husband. And Lakshmi said, I have never seen this form of my husband before. I'm not confident to approach him. And then finally what? Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj had no fear. And Prahlad Maharaj, with great devotion, he approached Lord Nṛsiṃha, and when he came close to Lord Nṛsiṃha, Lord Nṛsiṃha put his hand on Prahlad's head. Suddenly Prahlad became completely overwhelmed with transcendental knowledge. And he began to offer prayers to Lord Nṛsiṃha. Those prayers are here. So now, Hiranyakashipu, I already explained there at Nṛsiṃha-pali how he conquered over the universe, how he became the most powerful demon in the universe, and he had a son who was actually a devotee. Okay? So, how did that happen? I already explained. Because Narada Muni knew that in this pastime the Lord will appear as Lord Nṛsiṃha. But in order to bring that about, there has to be a reason for him to appear, to protect his devotee. So therefore Narada Muni took the wife of Hiranyakashipu while the demigods were trying to carry her away, because he had gone into the mountains to perform these heavy tapasyas for thousands of years in demigods' time. And the demigods thought, okay, we should take her because she's pregnant, and the child that will be born from her womb will be maybe even a greater demon than the father. So we should kill that child in the womb. So as they were taking him away, then Narada Muni came there and stopped them. No, I will take her to my ashram. Don't worry. The child in her womb is not a demon. So you be without any fear or anxiety. I will take her to my ashram. When he took her to his ashram, what did he do? He began to speak all transcendental knowledge, nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam and so forth to that lady. But in the womb, that child was hearing everything. And when that child came out from the womb, he was a pure devotee of Krishna. And Narada Muni was his guru. So Narada Muni brought her back before she was going to give birth. And then Prahlad was born there in the palace of Hiranyakashipu. So, and I've told about, I didn't tell so much. There's very beautiful descriptions of Prahlad Maharaj and his qualities and his attachment to the Lord. How he would always be feeling the presence of the Lord from his very early childhood. He would be crying tears of separation from the Lord. And in this way, it was going unnoticed. So Hiranyakashipu did not notice all these symptoms. But when he was 5 years old, then Hiranyakashipu said, "Come, sit on my lap, and now you tell me. You have been sent to school with your other small children and classmates of the other demons, and now you have been educated for a few days. What did you like?" He's only 5 years old, Prahlad. "What did you like the best? What subject matter that you heard did you like the best?" So, what did Prahlad Maharaj say to Hiranyakashipu? Do you know what Prahlad Maharaj told to Hiranyakashipu? So, Prahlad Maharaj looked at his father, the demon, Hiranyakashipu, and he answered his question. What do I think is the best? Then he said, Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam. He addressed his father not as, "Oh father," but as, "Oh, the greatest of all the demons, asuravarya." So he began to tell to his father what he truly thought was the best of all knowledge. And what is that? That the living entities who have taken a material body in this world, they have become dehinam. They are inside of the body. And because they identify with this temporary body, sada samudvigna diya asadgrahat. They have accepted this temporary body as real, but actually it is asat. It is not real, it is temporary. Because anything that is real is permanent, eternal. But this body is temporary. And because the living entities in this world have taken shelter of this identification, false identification, therefore they're always overwhelmed by samudvigna dhyam. Always. Sada samudvigna dhyam. They're always overwhelmed with so much anxiety, so much worry, so many perplexities. So what should they do? Prahlad Maharaj said, I think that what they should do is hitvatma patam griham andakupam. They should immediately give up this temporary household life in this material world, which is called griham andakupam. All household life within this world is for the purpose of trying to expand the living entity's identification with and involvement with this temporary body and the temporary so-called pleasures of this world. But in actuality, that position is called the place where the Atma is killed. Hitva Atma Patam. This is the 5th shlok of this chapter. 5th chapter, 5th shlok. Hitva Atma Patam. What does that mean? He should give it up. He should give up this place where the Atma is killed. Why is he saying Atma is killed? The Atma cannot be killed. But in a sense it's killed because for millions of lives it will go back into the cycle of the species of life, of the repeated birth and death, and it will stay there for millions and millions of lifetimes. So in one sense it's like killing the Atma, killing the soul. So he's saying he should give up this place, which is called the Andakupam. Do you know what Andakupam means? Yes, dark well, actually. Kupam, dark well, right? So in this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on this verse. And he has given an allegorical story to show us what is the real meaning behind this Andakupam. Here is the story. There is a man who is one day, he's walking in a very casual, relaxed way. He's going for a walk through the forest, through the jungle. And as he's walking along, he's observing all how beautiful flowers and fragrance and this and that is all here. And he's feeling this kind of material gratification of his senses. But as he's walking along in the forest, he suddenly hears the sound of a roaring tiger. He hears this roaring sound. He turns around and he looks. And he sees the tiger looking at him, ready to pounce and eat him. And what does he do? He starts running at top speed to get away from the tiger, trying to find some place where he can hide from the tiger. So he's running, and he's completely in the greatest anxiety that at any moment he can become captured and eaten, every last shred of his flesh eaten by the tiger. But what happens is, as he's running, he's looking for a place, and suddenly he sees, oh, here's an abandoned well. So what does he do? He says, I should climb down into this well. So he grabs 2 branches of a tree that is just above the well, and these branches are extending down. So he grabs a hold of those branches and he starts lowering himself down into the well. Have you heard this before? No? He starts lowering himself into the well. But as he looks down, as he gets lower, he suddenly sees that the bottom of the well is full of poisonous snakes, and they're hissing. They want to bite him. So now he's hanging on these 2 branches, and then he looks up, and suddenly there's the head of the tiger looking down at him. Roar! What does he do? What can he do? He's hanging there, suspended, holding onto these 2 branches. But what does he notice next? Guess what? On each branch, there is a rat. On one branch, the rat is black colored, and on the other branch, the rat is white colored, and they're gnawing away, they're chewing on that branch. So now he thinks, oh my God, what can I do now? I'm doomed. I'm gonna die, because as soon as these rats complete their chewing, I will fall into the well and I'll be killed by the snakes. But you know what happens next? He's hanging there. The head of the tiger is up above, snakes below, and he suddenly sees that from a branch of the tree, there's a beehive on that branch of the tree. And dripping down right in front of his face, there is some dripping of honey coming down from that hive, from that beehive above him. And he sees that honey, and he thinks, without a moment's hesitation, I should taste that honey. I should taste that honey. So what does he do? He makes a strong endeavor to push forward his head and to extend his tongue out to catch a few drops of the honey. And as soon as the honey touches his tongue, he says, oh, how sweet. He's going to die, but he still wants to touch with his tongue the honey. So now, what is the explanation of this? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, who is the person who is walking through the forest, and what is the forest? The person who is walking, traversing through the forest, that person is you. That person is the conditioned soul who's in this material world, in the forest of the material enjoyment of this material world, and he's walking along. But suddenly the roaring of the tiger comes and he becomes alerted. Who is the tiger? What does the tiger represent? It represents death. That now I will have to die. Sooner or later, I'll have to die. And it's chasing behind, and he's running away. Just like the conditioned souls are trying to deny that they can die at any moment, that they can leave their bodies at any time. And then he sees this covered well that is abandoned. And he sees the tree, and he starts to grab hold of the branches of the tree. What does the well represent? It represents what Prahlad Maharaj told to Hiranyakashipu in this very first verse from his lotus mouth. Griham andakupam. The materialistic dark well of material household life. Household life, griham. It's for nothing but trying to expand your identification, your relationships, your interaction with the material world, and think that you can become happy. But in actuality, it's a dark well. What are the snakes in the bottom of the well? Do you remember, Bopadev? The what? Okay. In the bottom of the well are these snakes. These snakes are the reactions to all of your sinful activities, which are coming to bite you all the time. That you're going to suffer from this, then you have to suffer from that, and like this, right? All the way up until death. Then above him is this tree, with the branches extending down that he caught hold of. What is that tree? What are those branches? The branches are your duration of life, how much longer you will live in that body. Holding on to those branches. And what are the white and black rats representing? Day and night. Yes. Day and night, day and night, day and night. Your duration of life is decreasing, 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 decreasing up until zero. Now, the last thing. What is the honey that this person is trying to taste in such a predicament that he's being chased by inevitable death, he's being bitten by all of his previous karmas, etc., etc. But what is the honey representing? It's representing the temporary mundane happiness that is experienced by the conditioned soul that makes him illusioned that he can enjoy in this material world. But the enjoyment always ends in suffering. So this is what Prahlad Maharaj told to Hiranyakashipu. He says, you're asking me what do I think is the best knowledge? I think the best knowledge is that all of the jivas in this material world who are always full of so much suffering and anxiety because they have accepted this temporary body as being real, they should immediately give this up. Hit vatmapatam grihamandakupam. And they should go where? Vanam gato yadharim ashrayeta. They should go to the forest, which is called the Vanam here. But our acharyas explained that Prahlad Maharaj is referring to the Vrindavana, the forest of Vrinda, the forest of Krishna, where Krishna eternally lives. And there, Harim Ashrayeta, they should take full shelter of Hari, of the Supreme Lord. So when Hiranyakashipu heard that, from his son, then. So when Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of self-realization in devotional service, then Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, he heard Prahlad's words, and then he laughed. He said, "Oh, this is the intelligence of children who have been spoiled by the words of the enemy." Yes. Now he understood that the enemy has infiltrated into the palace and is polluting the minds of the young children. So then Hiranyakashipu told to his assistants, he says, "My dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukula, where he is instructed, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise." Yes. And I just want to read this one purport by Srila Prabhupada. It's such a nice purport. So Prabhupada is telling that in our Krishna consciousness movement, the tactic of dressing oneself like an ordinary karmi is necessary because everyone in the demoniac kingdom is against the Vaishnava teachings. Krishna consciousness is not at all to the liking of the demons of the present age. As soon as they see a Vaishnava dressed in saffron garments with beads on his neck, tilak on his forehead, they are immediately irritated. They criticize the Vaishnavas by sarcastically saying, "Hare Krishna." And some people also chant Hare Krishna sincerely. But in either case, since Hare Krishna is absolute, whether one chants it jokingly or sincerely, it will have its effect. The Vaishnavas are pleased when the demons chant Hare Krishna because this shows that the Hare Krishna movement is taking ground. You have to remember, Prabhupada's writing this back in 1974, like that. So, the Vaishnavas are pleased when the demons chant Hare Krishna because this shows that the Hare Krishna movement is taking ground. Now the greater demons, like Hiranyakashipu, they are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that the Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. Bopadev knows a lot about this because he was a distributor of Prabhupada's books in airports and all these kind of public places, and they tried to shut it down. The legal authorities always kept trying to shut it down. But there were many legal court cases, and sometimes the devotees were winning, sometimes the others were winning, like that. So, the greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise the Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that the Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. So thus, what was done by Hiranyakashipu long, long ago is still being done. What is that? That is the way of materialistic life. The demons or the materialists do not at all like the advancement of Krishna consciousness, and they try to hinder it in many ways. Yet, the preachers of Krishna consciousness must go forward. In their Vaishnava dress or in any other dress, they must go forward for the purpose of preaching. So Chanakya Pandit, he says that if an honest person deals with a great cheater, right? This is Chanakya Shlok. If an honest person deals with a great cheater, it is necessary for him to become a cheater also. Not for the purpose of cheating, but to make his preaching successful. So Prabhupada has given that comment. Now when Hiranyakashipu's servants brought the boy Prahlad, when they brought him back to the Gurukula, then the priests of the demons, Shanda and Amarka, they pacified him. And they said, with very mild voices, very affectionate words, they inquired from him as follows. They said, "O dear son, Prahlad, all peace and all good fortune unto you. Kindly do not speak lies, just reply with the truth. These boys, you see, they're not like you, for they do not speak in a deviant way. Here's the question that you should reply to. How have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled in this way? O best of your family, has this pollution of your intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? We are all your teachers and we are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth." Then Prahlad Maharaj replied to his teachers, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose external energy has created the distinctions of my friend and my enemy by diluting the intelligence of men. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I have previously heard of it from authoritative sources." So this duality, he's my friend, he's my enemy. Prahlad Maharaj, he doesn't identify with that. Why? Because he's a pure devotee. So, Prahlad was answering the question of his teachers, and he said that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, then one becomes a pundit, and he does not make distinction between enemies, friends, and himself. He then thinks intelligently that every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. So then, he went on and he said, persons who always think in terms of enemy and friend, they're unable to ascertain the super soul within themselves. And not to speak of them, even such exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with the Vedic literature, they are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. The same Supreme Personality of Godhead who has created this situation, he has certainly given me the intelligence to take the side of your so-called enemy. O Brahmins, my teachers, just as iron attracted by a magnetic stone moves automatically towards the magnet, similarly, my consciousness, having been changed by his will, it is attracted by Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc in his hand, and thus I have no independence. So now, the great soul Prahlad Maharaj, he became silent after saying this to his teachers, Chanda and Amarka, who were the seminal sons of Shukracharya. So these so-called Brahmanas, then they became very angry at him, and because they were servants of Hiranyakashipu, they were very sorry. And then to chastise Prahlad Maharaj, they spoke to him as follows. Oh, please bring me a stick. This Prahlad is damaging our name and fame. Because of his bad intelligence, he has become like a cinder in the dynasty of the demons, and now he needs to be treated by the fourth of the four kinds of political diplomacy. Do you know what the four kinds of political diplomacy are? First one, in political affairs, when a person disobediently agitates against the government, there are four principles are used to suppress him. First one, legal orders. Second one, pacification. Third one, to offer a post. Or the last one, weapons. So when there are no other arguments, then he is punished. So in logic, this is called argumentum ad baculum. So in this way, these seminal sons. Oh, so in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the members of our Krishna consciousness movement, they are in a position similar to that of Prahlad Maharaj. All over the world, 99% of the people are godless demons, and therefore our preaching of Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, it is always hampered by many impediments. And because of their fault of being devotees, the American boys who have sacrificed everything for preaching Krishna consciousness, they are charged with being members of the CIA. Did you know that? In the early 70s, when they first acquired the land in Mayapur, and gradually things were developing, there was this rumor going around that all of these people who are coming from the West, actually they're CIA agents secretly, like that. And it says, Prabhupada says here, moreover, the seminal Brahmins in India, who are Brahmins only by birth, who say that one can become a Brahmin only if born in a Brahmin family, they charge us with ruining the Hindu system of religion. Of course, the fact is that one becomes a Brahmin by qualification. So because we are training Europeans and Americans to become qualified, and we are awarding them Brahminical status, we are being charged with destroying the Hindu religion. But nonetheless, confronting all kinds of difficulties, we must spread the Krishna consciousness movement with great determination like that of Prahlad Maharaj. And in spite of being the son of the demon Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad never feared the chastisements of the seminal Brahmin sons of a demoniac father. So like this, Prabhupada is commenting. I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm just giving this overview. So what happened after that? They kept on condemning Prahlad, the teachers, and now they chastised him in different ways, and now they again try to teach him about the paths of what? Religion, economic development, and sense gratification. That's it. So this is the way they educated him. So then, after some time, the teacher Shandana Marka, they thought, oh, now Prahlad is sufficiently educated in all these diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in cases of disobedience. So then one day, after Prahlad's mother had personally bathed the boy and dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, now they presented him before his father. Again, this is the second time, right? So now, when Hiranyakashipu saw that his child had fallen at his feet and was offering obeisances as an affectionate father, he immediately began showering blessings upon the child. He embraced him with both arms. And a father naturally feels happy to embrace his son, and Hiranyakashipu became very happy in this way. So then, Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad Maharaj on his lap. He began to smell his head, and with affectionate tears, can you imagine? Hiranyakashipu, affectionate tears gliding down from his eyes, moistening the child's smiling face, he spoke to his son as follows. And he said, "My dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers, so now please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge." So the question was basically the same. So when he asked him, to Prahlad, what is the best of all the knowledge that you've heard, what did Prahlad Maharaj answer? Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu, smaranam pada sevanam, archanam vandanam dasyam sakyam atmanivedanam iti pumsarpita Vishnu bhaktischain navalakshana kriyeta bhagavatyadha tanmanye aditam uttamam. Tanmanye adita uttamam. What is the topmost? Learning. So then Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu. Remembering all of these, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, Sakyam, and surrendering everything unto Him, Atmanivedanam, serving Him with body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Anyone who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. So there's a very, very long purport here, which is about 10 pages long, where Srila Prabhupada is very nicely explaining these 9 limbs of bhakti. Now, after hearing these words of devotional service from the mouth of his son Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry. His lips trembling, he spoke as follows to Shanda, the son of his guru Shukracharya. He said, "Oh, you unqualified, you most heinous son of a Brahmana, you have disobeyed my order, you have taken shelter of the party of my enemies. You have taught this poor boy about devotional service. What is this nonsense?" In the due course of time, various types of diseases are manifest in those who are sinful. Similarly, in this world, there are many deceptive friends in false garbs, but eventually, because of their false behavior, their actual enmity becomes manifest. So then, the son of Shukracharya, who is Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master, Shukracharya, he said, "O enemy of King Indra, O king, whatever your son Prahlad has said, it was not taught to him by me or by anyone else. His spontaneous devotional service has naturally developed in him. Therefore, please give up your anger and do not unnecessarily accuse us. It is not good to insult a Brahmin in this way." So then, when Hiranyakashipu received this reply from the teacher, he again addressed his son Prahlad. He said to him, "You rascal, you most fallen of our family, if you have not received this education from your teachers, where have you gotten it?" So now Prahlad Maharaj answered, "Matirna Krishne parataksvatova mito bipadyeta griha vratanam adanta gobir vishatam tamishram punak charvita charvananam." Prahlad Maharaj is now speaking 3 shlokas, which are the most famous amongst his teachings. He's saying that directly to his father, Hiranyakashipu, who was asking him, "Where did you hear this?" So now the first verse, Prahlad says, "Matirna Krishne paratak satova mito bipadyeta griha vratanam." Here he uses the word again, griha vratanam, which means persons who are addicted to materialistic life. Griha vrata is bodily conception of materialistic life. They're addicted to that. So he says, such persons, because of their uncontrolled senses, these persons make progress toward hellish conditions. And what happens to them? They repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Charvita charvananam means to chew something that's already been chewed. Right? We see that every day at the sugarcane wallahs. Right? Well, this is just one example. There's another example. Like dogs chewing on a bone, and then it's already been chewed, and then the other dogs chase after him to get the bone. They're different examples. But we see that when a person who's selling the sugarcane juice, he squeezes it with his machine, he puts it in again, until there's no more juice, not one single drop. And then he takes that pulp, he throws it aside. So if some animal comes there and tries to eat that, or if a human being tries to eat that, they will not get any juice whatsoever. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that in the material world, this is what the so-called happiness of the material world really is. It is called punak, that means again and again, charvita charvananam, chewing that which has already been chewed. Again and again it's been chewed. So he says that such persons with uncontrolled senses, their tendency, their inclination towards Krishna can never be aroused. Neither by what? Very good instructions from others, or by even their own efforts, or even by a combination of both. It cannot be aroused. Matirna Krishne Padatak Svatova. So, then after he said that, then he said probably the most often quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada, Nate vidusvarta gatim hi vishnum durashaya ye bahirartamanina andhaya tandar upayiniyamanas tepi shatantrayam urudamni badha. So now Prahlad Maharaj says, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or their guru a similar blind man who is attached to external sense objects. So those persons who are accepting such other persons, they cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and to engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. And just like a blind man leads another blind man, guides him along, so what happens? They both miss the right path, they fall into a ditch. So similarly, materially attached men, led by another materially attached man, are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, these ropes that they're bound by, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Now he comes to the final verse, and after hearing that verse, Hiranyakashipu completely lost it. This is the verse. Naishammatistavadurukramanggrim sprishatyanarta pagamo yarartaha mahiyasam padarajo bhishekam nishkinshananam navranitayavat. Now Prahlad Maharaj told how it's possible for someone to develop this strong inclination to worship and serve the Supreme Lord. Here's the method. Unless these materialistic persons will smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava who is completely freed from material contamination, those persons very much inclined toward materialistic life, they cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, in this way can one be freed from material contamination. Now, after Prahlad Maharaj had spoken in this way, then he became silent, and Hiranyakashipu, blinded by anger, he threw him off his lap onto the ground. And then his reddish eyes like molten copper, Hiranyakashipu said, "O demons, take this boy away from me. He deserves to be killed. Kill him as soon as possible. This boy Prahlad is the killer of my brother." Who was his brother? Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyakashipu was calling Prahlad the killer of his brother because he had given up his family of demons to engage in the devotional service of the enemy Lord Vishnu, just like a menial servant. Now, he said, although Prahlad is only 5 years old, even at this young age, he has given up his affectionate relationship with his father and mother. Therefore, he is certainly untrustworthy. Indeed, it is not at all believable that he will behave well towards even Vishnu himself. And then he gave an example that although a medicinal herb, which is born in the forest, it does not belong to the same category as a man, but if it's beneficial, it is kept very carefully. And similarly, if someone outside of one's family is favorable, he should be given protection like a son. On the other hand, if a limb of one's body is poisoned by disease, it must be amputated so that the rest of the body may live happily. Similarly, even one's own son, if he's unfavorable, he must be rejected, although born of one's own body. Yes, and then he said, just as uncontrolled senses are the enemies of all yogis engaged in advancing in spiritual life, this Prahlad, who appears to be a friend, is actually an enemy, because I cannot control him. And therefore, this enemy, whether he's eating, whether he's sitting or sleeping, he must be killed by all means. So now the demons, the servants of Hiranyakashipu, they began striking the tender parts of Prahlad Maharaj's body with their tridents. The demons all had fearful faces, sharp teeth, reddish, coppery beards and hair, and they appeared extremely threatening, making a tumultuous sound, shouting, "Chop him up! Pierce him!" They began striking Prahlad Maharaj, who sat silently meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though a person who has no assets in pious activities, even such a person, if he performs some good deed, it will have no result. Thus, the weapons of the demons had no tangible effects upon Prahlad Maharaj because he was a devotee, undisturbed by material conditions, and he was fully engaged in meditating upon and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable, who cannot be realized by the material senses, and who is the soul of the entire universe. So now, when all the attempts of the demons to kill Prahlad Maharaj were futile, then the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, being most fearful, now he's afraid, he began contriving other means to kill him, because he saw that the demons, they're trying to kill him, but nothing's happening. Now he's becoming fearful. Now he contrived various other means to kill Prahlad. Here's the list. Hiranyakashipu could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, by throwing him among huge fearful snakes, by employing destructive spells and hurling him from the top of a hill, by conjuring up illusory tricks, by administering poison, by starving him, by exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water, or throwing heavy stones to crush him. When Hiranyakashipu found that he could not in any way harm Prahlad, who was completely sinless, he was in great anxiety about what to do next. And now he began thinking. Listen to how Hiranyakashipu is thinking. He's thinking, uh-oh, I have used many ill names in chastising this boy Prahlad, and I have devised many means of killing him, but despite all my endeavors, he could not be killed. Indeed, he saved himself by his own powers without being affected in the least by these treacherous and abominable actions. And although he is very near to me and is merely a child, he is situated in complete fearlessness. So in this way, now Hiranyakashipu, he became depressed. And he was thinking, now I've really made a big mistake. Because this boy cannot be killed. It appears that he's actually immortal. Yes, he's telling that in the next verse. Therefore, because of my enmity towards him, then I shall die, because he will get revenge on me. He was thinking like this. So now he became very morose and depressed. His bodily luster faded, and he remained silent with his face downward. Then what happened? The two teachers, Shanda and Amarka, they spoke to him in a secret place, and they said, "O Lord, we know that when you simply move your eyebrows, all the commanders of the various planets are most afraid. Without the help of any assistant, you have conquered all the three worlds. Therefore, we do not find any reason for you to be morose and full of anxiety. As for Prahlad, he is nothing but a child, and he cannot be a cause for anxiety. After all, his bad or good qualities have no value. So until the return of our spiritual master Shukracharya, arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna so that he will not flee in fear. And in any case, by the time he is somewhat grown up and he has assimilated our instructions or served our spiritual master, he will change his intelligence. Thus there need be no cause for anxiety." So, after hearing these instructions of Shanda and Amarka, Hiranyakashipu agreed. He requested them to instruct Prahlad in that system of occupational duty which is followed by the royal household families. Now from here on, I'm going to summarize that yes, Prahlad went back to school. And he was surrounded by his classmates who were the sons of all the demons. And when the teachers, Shanda and Amarka, left the classroom for some time, all of these young children, they all said to Prahlad, "Prahlad, our teachers are gone, let's play games." And they were very, very attracted to Prahlad. He was so attractive to their hearts. And they all sat around Prahlad. And then they began to hear how Prahlad wanted to give them good instructions. Yes. So when Prahlad Maharaj began to teach them, he taught them about the futility of this material world. He taught them how the human form of life is only for the purpose of what? Not sense gratification. That's not the purpose of human life. You can get sense gratification in any form, in any species. There is always unlimited varieties of sense gratification. But in the human form, you can do something that you cannot do in other forms of life, and that is to attain your eternal relationship with the Supreme Absolute Truth, and to develop pure love for the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. So he instructed the young children, and the young children, they were very happy to hear his instructions, and they agreed with him that yes, what you are telling us, this is true, that although we are children, actually we don't know when we will die. At any time we can die. But even then, even if we live for our whole life, what you've just taught us is that how much time do we actually have in this valuable human body to cultivate Krishna consciousness, to cultivate transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth. Because our earlier years are wasted in childhood with playing this and that. And then in our middle years or in our older years, we will become invalid, the body will break down, and what can we do then? But then in the middle, for like 20 years, 30 years, we'll be completely absorbed in household life, in maintaining family, children, this, that. So Prahlad, he taught to these boys, don't become entangled in this way. You should serve Krishna. You should develop love for Krishna. And then he told these students that we should chant the holy names of the Supreme Lord. And Prahlad Maharaj began singing. And he began chanting and singing along with the young boys, and they all joined in kirtan right there in the school. What took place then? Chandana Marka. They came back, they saw this, and then they reported to Hiranyakashipu. So when Hiranyakashipu came, then at that time, Hiranyakashipu, that was it. He was finished. He was no longer going to play any games. And he came storming into the room, and now he threatened Prahlad Maharaj. Right. So now when Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry. So much so that his body trembled, and thus he finally decided to kill his son Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake that is trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild, and gentle, and his senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. So according to Prahlad's age and his behavior, he was not to be chastised. Yet, with staring, crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. He said, "O most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lowest of mankind, you have violated my power to rule you, and therefore you are an obstinate fool, and today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. You rascal! You know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and you overstep my power to rule you?" Then Prahlad Maharaj said, "My dear king, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, is also the source of yours. And indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is only one. He is not only your strength or mine, but He is the only strength for everyone. Without Him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme controller and time factor, He is the power of the senses, He is the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital force of the senses. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities. He is the controller of the three modes of material nature. So by His own power, He creates this cosmic manifestation. He maintains it, and He annihilates it also. So my dear Father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised towards everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and the misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshiping the Lord perfectly. And in former times there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, all thinking, I have conquered all enemies in all the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipped toward all living entities, is equipoised toward all living entities, so for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. So now Hiranyakashipu stopped the conversation and he said, you rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, for this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. Oh, you most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me. You have described a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all-pervading. But where is He? If He is everywhere, then why is He not present before me in this pillar? So because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it. Then being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words, cursing him again and again. Hiranyakashipu took up his sword. He got up from his royal throne, and with great anger he struck his fist against the column. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh my dear Yudhishthir, this sound reached even the abodes of the demigods like Lord Brahma, and when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, he heard that wonderful tumultuous sound which had never before been heard. Upon hearing this sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. So to prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, In other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never seen before. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion, and thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. And while Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained by either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Nṛsiṃha standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and his gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, they spread in all directions as he killed the demons, the rogues, and the atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. So Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? And thinking like this, taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. So just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire, this insignificant creature becomes invisible. When Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. And formerly during creation, he entered the dark universe and he illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. So thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, he swiftly attacked Nṛsiṃha with his club. He began to beat him. Lord Nṛsiṃha, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. Then, when Lord Nṛsiṃha gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake, lets it slip from his mouth, so the demigods who had lost their abodes and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon, they did not consider that this incident was very good. Indeed, they were perturbed that he slipped out of the hands of Lord Nṛsiṃha. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Nṛsiṃha, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess, and therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and his shield, and again he attacked the Lord with great force. Then, making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and his shield, leaving no gaps open. And with the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky, sometimes on the earth, and his eyes were closed because of fear of Nṛsiṃha's laughter. And as a snake captures a mouse, or how Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nṛsiṃha captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. And as Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here and there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nṛsiṃha placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Jai Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki. Come on, louder. Jai Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki. Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki. So, Lord Nṛsiṃha's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood. His fierce eyes were full of anger. They were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Nṛsiṃha, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, he resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, he first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart, then he threw him aside. He turned toward the demon soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him, with raised weapons. They were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu, but Lord Nṛsiṃha killed all of them merely with the ends of his nails. The hair on Nṛsiṃha's head shook the clouds, scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and the oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Airplanes were thrown into outer space, the upper planetary system, by the hair on Nṛsiṃha's head. And because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position. All the hills and the mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination, then manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance. Lord Nṛsiṃha, being angry, very angry, finding no contestant to face his power and his opulence, he sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king, and because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. And Hiranyakashipu, he had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the three worlds. Thus, when the wives of the demigods in the heavenly planets, when they saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their faces blossomed in great joy. The wives of the demigods again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Nṛsiṃha like rain. Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki. So at that time, the airplanes of the demigods, who desired to see the activities of the Supreme Lord Narayan, they crowded in the sky. The demigods began beating drums, kettle drums, and upon hearing them, the angelic women began to dance, while the chiefs of the Gandharvas sang sweetly. My dear King Yudhishthira, the demigods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahma, King Indra, and Lord Shiva, and they included great saintly persons, and they included the residents of Pitrilok, Siddhalok, Vidyadharalok, and the planets of the snakes. The Manus approached, and so did the chiefs of various other planets. And the angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the inhabitants of Kinnaraloka, the Vetalas, the inhabitants of Kimpurushaloka, the impersonal servants of Vishnu like Sunanda and Kumud. All of them came near the Lord, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads. Then Lord Brahma, He said, he prayed to the Lord, "My Lord, you are unlimited, and you possess unending potencies. No one can estimate, or no one can calculate your prowess, your wonderful influence, for your actions are never polluted by the material energy. Through the material qualities, you very easily create the universe, you maintain it, and you again annihilate it. Yet you remain the same without deterioration. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to you." So what happened was that the demigods, one by one, first Lord Brahma, then Lord Shiva, then Indra, and so forth, they all began individually offering prayers to Lord Nṛsiṃha from a distance. But even after all of this, the Pitris from Pitri Loka, Siddha Loka, all these different personalities from higher planetary systems, they all glorified the Lord in their own way. Manus, etc., Prajapatis, so Gandharvas, they all prayed to the Lord. Charanas, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Vaitalikas, Kinnaras, and all the associates of Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha, they offered prayers also. So then what took place after that is that they all offered their prayers, but they dared not come forward before the Lord, who at that time was extremely angry. Then the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji, was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, who, because of fear, they could not do so. But even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and thus she could not approach him also. Thereafter Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very near to him, "My dear son, Lord Nṛsiṃha is extremely angry at your demoniac father. Please go and appease him." Then, although the exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj was only a little boy, he accepted Lord Brahma's words. He gradually proceeded toward Lord Nṛsiṃha. He fell down to offer his respectful obeisances with folded hands. And when Lord Nṛsiṃha saw the small boy Prahlad Maharaj prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in affection toward his devotee. Then raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all his devotees. And by the touch of Lord Nṛsiṃha's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contamination and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore he at once became transcendentally situated. All the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love, his eyes with tears. Thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Then Prahlad Maharaj fixed his mind and his vision upon Lord Nṛsiṃha with full attention, in complete trance. And with a fixed mind, he began to offer prayers in love with faltering voice. Prahlad Maharaj Uvacha. Prahlad Maharaj prayed, "How is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons, they could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words, although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness. Then what is to be said of me? I am not at all qualified." So Prahlad Maharaj was being very, very humble, and he was considering himself to be the son of demons. Then Prahlad Maharaj said, Now, just so that you know, this entire chapter is the second last chapter of this Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, describing Prahlad Maharaj. And the 9th chapter is entitled Prahlad Pacifies Lord Nṛsiṃha with Prayers. That's what we're beginning to read right now. That chapter has 55 shlokas in that chapter. But the final chapter, chapter 10, is titled Prahlad, the Best Amongst the Exalted Devotees. And that chapter is describing how Prahlad continued to satisfy Lord Nṛsiṃha, and he offered many prayers, very highly devotional prayers to Lord Nṛsiṃha. This is why our acharyas wanted to hear these prayers. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear, because he is praying in absolutely pure devotion with extreme humility. And so that chapter finalizes the whole story. Yes. Yes, so that is the final chapter. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to read a few more verses to complete our discussion of these 10 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. So Prahlad Maharaj continued, and he said, one may possess wealth, and a person may possess an aristocratic family. He may have beauty, austerity, education. He may have sensory expertise, luster. He may have influence, physical strength. He may have diligence, intelligence, and mystic yoga power. But my Lord, I think that even by all these qualifications, one cannot satisfy you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, anyone can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. Even Gajendra, the elephant, he did this, and thus the Lord was satisfied with him. Then he went on and he said, if a Brahmin has all the 12 Brahminical qualifications, right? There's a book called Sanat Sujata, which describes all 12 Brahminical qualifications. So if a Brahmin has all these 12 qualifications, but he is not a devotee, and he is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, then he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the Supreme Lord. Person born in the family of dog eaters. Yes, he's comparing to that. So such a devotee who has dedicated everything, his mind, his words, his activities, his wealth, his life, such a devotee is better than a Brahmin, because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmana, in a position of false prestige, cannot purify even himself. Then he told that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always fully satisfied. Atmaram, Attakam. He is always fully satisfied in himself. And therefore, when something is offered to him, then the offering, by the Lord's mercy, is for the benefit of the devotee. Because the Lord does not need service from anyone. So to give an example, if one's face is decorated, then the reflection of one's face in a mirror, then it is also seen to be decorated. So therefore, although I was born in a demoniac family, I may without a doubt offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor as far as my intelligence allows. So anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world, he may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's glories. O my Lord, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, they are sincere servants of your lordship who are situated in a transcendental position. Therefore, they are not like us. Prahlad and is considering himself the son of a demon. Your appearance in this fearsome form is your pastime for your own pleasure, and such an incarnation is always meant for the protection and for the improvement of the universe. My Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, please therefore cease your anger now that my father, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, has been killed. Since even saintly persons take pleasure in the killing of a scorpion or a snake, all the worlds have achieved great satisfaction because of the death of this demon. Now they are confident of their happiness, and they will always remember your auspicious incarnation in order to be free from all fear. My Lord, who are never conquered by anyone, I am certainly not afraid of your ferocious mouth and your tongue, your eyes bright like the sun, or your frowning eyebrows. I do not fear your sharp pinching teeth, your garland of intestines, your mane soaked with blood, your high wedge-like ears. Nor do I fear your tumultuous roaring, which makes elephants flee to distant places, or your nails, which are meant to kill your enemies. O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from conditional life? O Great One, O Supreme Lord, because of combination with pleasing and displeasing circumstances, and because of separation from them, one is placed in a most regrettable position, within heavenly or hellish planets, as if burning in a fire of lamentation. And although there are many remedies by which to get out of miserable life, any such remedies in the material world are more miserable than the miseries themselves. Therefore, I think that the only remedy is to engage in your service. Kindly instruct me in such service. O my Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, by engaging in your transcendental service in the association of devotees who are liberated souls, Hangsas, I shall become completely uncontaminated by the association of the three modes of material nature, and I shall be able to chant the glories of your lordships, who are so dear to me. I shall chant your glories, following exactly in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and his disciplic succession, and in this way I shall undoubtedly be able to cross the ocean of nescience. Now, in this way, Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev Prahlad Maharaj continued with his prayers to Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev. And his prayers continue all through this chapter. with so many transcendental, wonderful spiritual instructions, which we should separately study on our own to get the full benefit of observing Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī and going to take the darshan of Lord Nṛsiṃhadev. We must hear the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj. But now time is running out. Dusk is coming. Very soon will be the appearance of Lord Nṛsiṃhadev. So what I want to do is jump to the end of this chapter, which comprises 55 verses, and now we're only on verse 19. And I want to go on to the 10th chapter, in which Prahlad Maharaj, here's one of Prahlad Maharaj's most wonderful prayers to Lord Nṛsiṃhadev. And this particular verse, 7.10.8. Wait. Now, although Prahlad Maharaj was only a boy when he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Nṛsiṃhadev, Lord Nṛsiṃhadev wanted to give him benediction, then he considered them to be impediments on the path of devotional service. Prahlad Maharaj. He considered the benedictions by Lord Nṛsiṃhadev to be impediments. And thus he smiled very mildly, and he spoke as follows to Lord Nṛsiṃhadev. He said, "My dear Lord, can you turn on these tube lights? These tube lights, because now it's getting dark outside." On, tube, the long lights. I need more light. Yes, okay, that's enough. That's enough. So Prahlad Maharaj said, "My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because I was born in an atheistic family, I am naturally attached to material enjoyment, and therefore kindly do not tempt me with these illusions. I am very much afraid of material conditions, and I desire to be liberated from materialistic life. It is for this reason that I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. O my worshipable Lord, because of the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core of everyone's heart, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. Otherwise, O my Lord, O Supreme Instructor of the entire world, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. On the other hand, one who desires some material benefit in exchange for devotional service, he cannot be your pure devotee. Indeed, he is no better than a merchant who wants profit in exchange for service. A servant who desires material profits from his master, he is certainly not a qualified servant or a pure devotee. And similarly, a master who bestows benediction upon his servant because of a desire to maintain a prestigious position as master, he is also not a pure master. O my Lord, I am your unmotivated servant, and you are my eternal master, and there is no need of our being anything other than master and servant. You are naturally my master, and I am naturally your servant. We have no other relationship. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there will be no material desires. O my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of a person's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness, all of these, because of what? Because of lusty desires from the very beginning of life. All these functions, they are vanquished. O my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all material desires in his mind, then he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. O my Lord, who is full of 6 opulences, O Supreme Person, O Supreme Soul, O Killer of all miseries, O Supreme Person in the form of a wonderful lion and man, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. That's how Prahlad ended his prayers. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, then he said to Prahlad Maharaj, my dear Prahlad, a devotee like you never desires any kind of material opulences either in this life or in the next life. But nonetheless, I order you to enjoy the opulences of the demons in this material world, acting as their king until the end of the duration of time occupied by Manu. It does not matter that you are in the material world. You should always, continuously hear the instructions and the messages given by me. Always be absorbed in thoughts of me, for I am the Super Soul, existing in the core of everyone's heart. Therefore, you should give up fruitive activities and worship me. My dear Prahlad, while you are in this material world, you will exhaust all the reactions of pious activity by feeling happiness, and by acting piously, you will neutralize impious activity. Isn't that interesting? By serving the Lord within the material world, whatever reactions, even of the pious activities, are meant to come by feeling happiness, and also the impious activities, they will be neutralized. So because of the powerful time factor, you will give up your body, but the glories of your activities will be sung in the upper planetary systems, and being fully freed from all bondage, you'll return home back to Godhead. And one who always remembers your activities, and also my activities, and who chants the prayers that you have offered, that person becomes free in due course of time from the reactions of material activities. Prahlad Maharaj then said to Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. What is that one benediction that Prahlad asked Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev for? Prahlad said to Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father, at the time of his death, he had already been purified by your glance upon him. But because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and your supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your lordship, who are the spiritual master of all living beings. And he committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, said, My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O great saintly person, your father has been purified. Not only him, but also along with 21 forefathers of your family. They've all been purified. Because you were born in this family, the entire dynasty has been purified. 21 generations. So, now ending this chapter, whenever and wherever there are peaceful equipoise devotees who are well behaved and who are decorated with all good qualities, that place and even the dynasties that are there, even if they are condemned, they all become purified wherever exalted devotees stay. Not only they and their dynasties, but the entire country is purified. Gaur Prem Anande, Hari Hari Bol. So then, so now Narada Muni is telling King Yudhishthira that everything you asked about me, about how Shishupal and others attained salvation, although they were inimical, it has now been explained to you by me. And in this narration about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, various expansions or incarnations of the Lord have been described. And the killing of the two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, has also been described. This narration describes the characteristics of the great and exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj. It explains his staunch devotional service, his perfect knowledge, and his perfect detachment from material contamination. It also describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Prahlad Maharaj, in his prayers, has described the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And he has also described how the various abodes of the demigods and the demons, regardless of how materially opulent, they are destroyed by the mere direction of the Lord. So then he says, one who hears and chants this narration about the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is certainly liberated from material bondage without fail. Prahlad Maharaj was the best among exalted devotees. Anyone who with great attention hears this narration concerning the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, the killing of Hiranyakashipu, and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Nṛsiṃha-dev, surely reaches the spiritual world where there is no anxiety. Then Narada Muni said to Maharaj Yudhishthira, my dear Maharaj Yudhishthira, all of you Pandavas, you are extremely fortunate, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna lives in your palace, just like a human being. Great saintly persons know this very well, and therefore they constantly visit this house. Yes, so this is how Narada Muni completes this narration in this chapter. But at the end of this chapter, he mentions another pastime which is not completely connected with this to complete the chapter. So now we have sat here on Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī day in this assembly of the Vaishnavas, everyone listening very nicely, carefully, although it's been a rigorous performance of hearing and chanting. But nevertheless, it's very fruitful because we have succeeded to try our best to summarize and to describe these 10 chapters. There's a lot that has been left out. You actually have to read the chapters yourself, and especially the chapters of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, to study them. And also the purports of our Srila Prabhupada are wonderful purports, where he's explaining the depth of devotion. So today we were so fortunate because we live here in Navadvip Dham, not like other devotees who live all throughout the world, but we live here. So we could get on a rickshaw and we could travel in 30 minutes to the very place where Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev himself is personally present in Navadvip Dham, and take darshan of him in the form of Lord Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan, who also has Hiranyakashipu on his lap. That form of Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev, that deity is millions of years old. No one knows the origin of that deity. But Lord Nityananda came here 500 years ago. He came there with Jiva Goswami and the others, and he explained that after Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev had killed Hiranyakashipu, and after all this recitation of prayers, everything, then Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev flew to Navadvip, and he stayed right there at that place. That's why it's called Nṛsiṃha-Pali. And the demigods also came, and they built different mansions and different temples on various hillocks that were existing there at that time. This is back in Satya Yuga. And Lord Nityananda said they worshipped Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev here for long, long time. So that even that lake that's there, that used to be a much, much bigger lake, surrounded by all these hillocks. And 500 years ago, there were a little bit more than there is now, a little bit more evidence how over centuries and yugas that Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev has been worshipped in that place. So very powerful to be in Navadvip Dham on Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī, and even just to get a momentary glimpse of the deity of Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev because of the mammoth amount of people pushing. It's practically impossible. But somehow or other, we got some little tiny momentary glimpse, handed donation from the side to the pujari, and he handed back a beautiful tulsi garland that had been offered to Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev. Yes. So our human form of life is successful, that we are now here and we are trying to practice bhakti under the guidance of Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas in this most powerful spiritual abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which in the Kali Yuga is the supreme transcendental Dham. All other Dhammas and Tirthas will become lessened in their importance in comparison with this Navadvip Dham. That is the prediction of Nityananda Prabhu, who predicted this in the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. So we offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of our Guru and our Guru Varga and all of our Gurus and our Rupanuga Guru Varga. We offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, of the Sri Panchatattva, of all of the transcendental devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of the Gaura Bhaktas. We offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna in Braj, who are surrounded by their loving servants, their gopi servants like Lalita Vishaka and multitudes of other gopis. And we pray at the lotus feet of Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev on his appearance day that he will protect our bhakti always, because Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev's name is called Bhakti Vigna Vinashana, the one who destroys all the obstacles on the pathway of bhakti. So certainly today has been a very powerful day, and our hearts have been purified by this narration, and Lord Nṛsiṃha-Dev has given his causeless mercy. So we pray that in the remainder of this life and future lives, that we can always strive to become pure devotees and one day become transcendental eternal associates of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in Braj and in Navadvip Dham, in the eternal spiritual world Goloka Vrindavan. Gaur Prem Anande Hari Hari Bol. Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Nṛsiṃha Deva Ki Jai. Lakshmi Nṛsiṃha Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Prem Anande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Nṛsiṃha Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha. Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Nama. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All glory to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Jai. So I think in the temple room, what are they doing right now? Are they having an abhishek or something like? No? I think.
They had a yoga this morning.
Right. Okay. So I think they're just continuing their narration until the actual dusk. It's just before that. So, but now we can go and pay obeisances, or we can. Yeah, I think it's good to pay obeisances to the Lord and see what's happening there. And then after that, then we can take Krishna Prasadam, which will have been prepared upstairs by Gaurangi and also in the temple kitchens. So we will break our fast on Nṛsiṃha-caturdaśī, but we were very successful to observe this fast as best we could. Gaur Premanande.